there, furries and sickos. Welcome to the Toy Chest. I'm your host, Clark Macbeth. And this isn't clickbait. This isn't some insider knowledge. I really do have the Ladybird browser, okay? Hey there, furries and sickos. Welcome to the Toy Chest. I'm your host, Clark Macbeth. And I got a special treat here for you. And it's going to be the first look at the Ladybird browser. Like, you've heard about this. If you go on YouTube and have a look, and right now I'm going to have a look in the browser I normally use, Zen, though I will go into a different, and that space is going to be the open source toy space. You can do this in Zen, but you can't really do that with Ladybird. They're not really interested in the bells and whistles like any of the other browsers, especially the forks. Like, Zen is a fork. It is based off of the open source code of Firefox, but it looks way different and is also way better because Zen is focused on kind of like Chrome, getting as much out of the way as possible, but to the point where even this sidebar, which has all the tabs, fully retracts as soon as I'm focused on something else and have a tab open to begin with. So if I were to, this is my preferred test page, go to min.gov, well, there you go, it just retracted, and now I'm just stuck with a blue border and the government website of Minnesota, and it looks a bit better. Actually, no, it doesn't. I have no idea why it rendered like this. Probably because of the custom font. We made everything branded grotesque, which is the de facto font of Minnesota. It's this part here, but I forced it onto the whole site. Walking in a winter wonderland. Yeah, we'll just pretend everything's fine here for now. I'm not going to get into it. I did it in the last video, which was also a browser review for Helium, but that was a Chromium fork. What I'm going to review is not Helium, a fork of Chrome, not Zen, a fork of Firefox. No, I'm going to do something extra special. I'm going to review Ladybird. I'm going to give you the Ladybird. First, here's why this video is happening. Ladybird, you do a search for it, and you get this shit. Like, you have to go down all the way here for the browser, the default, unaltered search that I'm doing right here. But say I wanted to do something like get a preview of the browser itself. There is none right now. I am the first. Okay, not really, but a lot of techies have heard about this and they've gotten a lot of videos about this, and they're like, yay, good news, there's someone working on a browser. But not just any browser, a completely new one. Not a fork of anything. No, Ladybird browser is primarily being funded by the people who put bounties to slap the end shit out of big tech, who do everything they can to unlock as much as possible, and also do not care in the slightest if they get sued for that, because legally they're not in the wrong in any way, shape, or form, unless the judge was bribed, in which case their ruling is illegitimate. But yeah, Fudo, Cloudflare, so two very, very, very well-known and very good tech companies, relatively speaking, and also Shopify. I don't know, I guess the CEO of Shopify is feeling so generous that he wants something that could directly against Google's Chromium, which is the open source thing that is to make forks of Chrome. Ladybird is not that. It is completely new all the way down to the browsing. And there used to be 3 of them. There used to be one for Internet Explorer called Trident, but then they eventually switched everything over to Chromium because Microsoft developers are dumb now, I'm sorry to say, and yeah, they're just focusing on the browser. What you're about to see is not gonna be all bells and whistles like this. It's gonna be, well, just a browser, and it doesn't have any deals, it doesn't have a default search, it's just built from the ground up, no conflict of interest, not even the conflict of interest of Firefox, taking lots of Google money. No, this is just a completely new, completely separate, not the revival of Netscape that Firefox was supposed to, not something backed by lots of corporate money like Chromium. This is a community-developed browser, and every piece is from open source, with open source intention. This is an existential threat to the lockdown, middleman, rent-seeking agenda of big tech, because it's small tech. And I can get behind that. We all need to get behind that a lot more. I am technically small tech. I have a bit of software that I slapped together to be a bunch of tools for this system, but I digress. Let's have a look at Ladybird, shall we? That's it. That's all of Ladybird right now. And for some reason, if I go to the help page, if I go to About Ladybird, I get whatever this is. It's not version 1. It's not Arch x86-4. It is Linux. User agents Mozilla as Ladybird, and they're probably doing this just to make any website work whatsoever. It just if it doesn't say Mozilla or Chromium a lot of websites are going to ship to bed, so Ladybird is going to creatively stretch the truth just to get sites going. I believe that's why this is there. Command line, export the path, yada yada yada. So, more about this package and how I installed it. So, if you want to try it out yourself and you're running NixOS because you're a masochist, here's how to do that. Nix shell key Ladybird browser is going to error for me, of course, but let's just have a look at the package, shall we? And it crashed. It just crashed. It cannot do anything. I load a page, it crashes. Alright, so I guess I'm going to force a new process. I don't know. If I go to inspect, view source, there's the entire source code of the page. I might as well look at these while I have access to them. It kind of sucks that I can't load a web page, but it does have all the basic features, and it has a settings page too. Let's have a look here. Default search engine. I'm gonna enable search actually, and I'm gonna set it to a code with suggestions from DuckDuckGo. Permissions, autoplay, no. Global privacy control, just turn that on, and DNS with that, and that is all you get. Let's see, mn.gov. Crash the browser. Every time. Okay, so since it keeps doing that, I might as well just straight up show you what package I use. Alright, so version 0 unstable 2026, the 11th of January, and as of right now, it's a month after Christmas, and you still need to open your presents, kiddo. You still need to play with them. The homepage goes back to ladybird.org, but that is not the current build. And it doesn't matter if I do stable or unstable, they're the same. Perhaps if I run Ladybird in Nix shell, it'll run, but I don't know. Nope. There is a way I can do a more recent, and normie people would just have to run git pull, and, you know, that it'll just go. It'll just install from there, as long as git is installed on that. Alright, here's how I'm gonna solve this. I'm gonna go into a distro box, get a list of them here, distro box, enter Debian box, get one based on ensure, sudo apt install git, make sure that is cool. And while I'm in this box, I am going to go to the GitHub page of Ladybird, just get involved, grab the code, have a look around, and see if this containerized, more recent build, which was last commit 10 minutes ago. Okay, we got some real effort on it, some real community effort, and that is all well and awesome. So git pull that. I'm sorry, it's git clone, isn't it? Alright, and when that's done, I should be able to run Ladybird. The full application with the most recent commits and everything, and hopefully I'll be able to boot a website. For some reason, the Nix package doesn't even have that. It'll just crash whenever you try to boot a site. It'll show you part of the interface, and that's it, and that's not good enough. I want to do the test page. I want to see what mn.gov looks like on the Ladybird browser with the Ladybird engine. It's completely new. It's not Trident from Internet Explorer. It's not anything. This is from the ground up. This is from scratch. This is new. And this is, I'm sure, once Ladybird starts, there will be a fork of it. There will be many forks of it, trying to build on top of that. This is open source software, after all, and people are just going to do that as soon as they found out there is a new browsing engine that works pretty darn well, at least as good as Firefox. Gecko, I believe, is what they're aiming for, and that might be a pretty low bar, given how far Firefox has fallen in the rendering web pages department. It might not be visible, but there are some things like gradients that just straight up will not work. If you're on YouTube Premium and you're watching in Firefox, you're not going to do ambient mode, and it actually looks a lot better that way. And we're loading, and we're loading. Alright, so I did the poll. Now I need to build. There should be a readme. Let's see if I can find it anywhere. Oh, there it is. Alright, so this, whatever that is, list, process, code of conduct, contributing. Okay, I'm not going to be contributing any of my own code right now. I just want to build it. So there's the readme. It runs on this license. Pre-alpha, only suitable for you developers. I want to get the dependencies. Alright, so after doing some searching, it looks like I got a bunch of dependencies to combine that all into one command, and hope that does so. Except I'm already in the distro box. Wonderful. Alright, so I got a bunch of dependencies that I needed to install here, and it looks like it took care of that. It was this big, long command that I needed to make, and copy-paste without a pipe. Here it is. This is all the dependencies that are necessary, but I did already install them. So, yeah. that's done now. All of that is done. And now, on to the next step, the building of Ladybird within the distro box. Here is how I'm going to take care of that. Okay, so after cloning, what I got is a building script. I have a build script for Ladybird right here. It is in the Ladybird repository, in the home folder. If you go to Home, Ladybird, and Meta, there is a bunch of Python scripts, and the one that you need to build is in here. Alright, so the program itself is based off of Python, and in order to run it, you need to go to the Ladybird directory. You gotta go to Home, Ladybird, Meta, and ladybird.py, but you have to run that as a command. Ladybird.py run. There's a look at some of the code anyway. Okay, so you know what? I'm going to exit NeoVim, then I'm gonna get out of Yazoo. By hitting Q there, open another ghosty terminal. Let's just see what happens. Here goes. cd tilde ladybird meta ladybird.py run typo. Let's go back to the directory. tilde ladybird. All right. / meta ladybird.py run. Oh boy, it's doing something. It's doing that in the wrong place, in the wrong environment. So I'm gonna exit out of that and go back to this terminal. And now I'm gonna clear this cd tilde ladybird and then / meta ladybird.py run. The wait's kind of exciting. It's putting stuff together. It's kind of like waiting for the new bike you got for Christmas being built by the guy who does it at Walmart. However they do it. And that's just awesome. That's just pog to have that. Anyway, while I'm waiting on some jams. I think this is going to take a bit. I'm sure the GitHub servers are like, what the fuck? I'm doing this in what kind of machine, with what kind of container, under what wrapper? What am I dealing with right now? Whatever it is, it's not going to work on the main system. It's almost like I don't want it to. It's almost like it could be dangerous if I did that. Just trying to make the binary with the code. It's got like C pieces to cram together. This is what compiling from source looks like. I'm like using the Python language to build a Python program with the Python program. Literally 69 packages installed. Nice. I can do a pretty good British accent, but that's because I lived in Savannah for 10 years. It's complicated. Linguistic stuff. I'm still trying to find all the letter R's I dropped over the years. I should listen to an educational podcast or read a book, but I don't want to right now. I can't believe this is what Gentoo users have to put up with each and every time. It takes even longer than an NixOS rebuild switch for one program. You know, I love how much confidence there is in this building trying to download. It's all been successful so far, I mean, but still. I'm not sure I really need to do all of that, those dependencies, or consult Gemini whatsoever for that step, but I just figured I'd do that anyway. Can't hurt, at least I hope not. Fuck it, I'm getting some tea. You know, I think there is a better term than enshittification for the decay of a product or service offered by the forces of monopolization to the point where even that's not good enough to save the sinking ship. There is a story from history of what not to do with that and how bad it could end. I think a better term is schlitzification, because, you see, there was this beer company that adults drank from, and they made a cost-cutting move that was so bad that was what was the #1 most dominant beer in all of America, over time, lost that position. No one even knows what Schlitz is anymore. It was so bad. They were like on top of the world and thinking no one could take them on. And there were a lot of laws preventing competition in that space, but it didn't matter. Other beer companies took the mantle until Bud Light took the top spot, and then Modelo took the top spot for really its own merit. So like what Google searches today, I barely use it. I mean, I will if something defaults to it, but I do whatever I can to make it not, because Google search has turned into beer. Its quality is down the toilet, and there are plenty of alternatives like, well, there's DuckDuckGo. But if you want something truly open source, I might as well show you something while I'm waiting here. Priv.au, search ng. Although I think it's pronounced searching. I'm searching, but with XNG at the end. Looks stylish and cool. You go on GitHub, the source code is there, and you have your own instance if you want to. In fact, there is a way to have a local instance of searching on your computer. But this is one of the most popular, most reliable public instances, and if for good reason. It's in Australia and America, dual hosted, so if you speak English, and you search for something like Minnesota, it's not like the European versions, you'll get reliable results. It'll give you suggestions here in the sidebar. It'll, like, this is way better. This is way better, and if I go here to Google, I just want to know what Minnesota is, but no, I get, what the fuck is this? I would like to click for the encyclopedia. Thank you very much. That's not even Minnesota! That's the White House lit up in rainbow. Oh, I guess we do have a similar looking building. I mean, you get the idea in pictures, but you're not given much information. You have to scroll all the way down here, whereas in Search NG, whether it's Minnesota or anything else, it's just at the top. And there might be a sidebar with the Wikipedia stuff sometimes. Like, I don't know. Let's look up the name of Tim Walz. Okay, I didn't do it there. Plus, you can set preferences, and it'll save them in your browser. It's pretty neat. There, we got a page from the test site I like to use. Let's try again. Hyatt Regency, Minneapolis. Yeah, Priv.au is my default. Sometimes it'll just conk out and I'll have to do it again. Priv.au will take you directly to the page and to the source of the information you actually need, as long as it's up. Searching for Hyatt Regency, Minneapolis. Boom. Let's try that on Google. Cool. There's a lot of this that is not the actual results, and there's a lot that could distract me on this page, whereas if I know if I want Hyatt, there it is, click, and I could just navigate from there. And most hotels will give you the best rate on their site, but there's TripAdvisor, Booking.com, the official Hyatt. I could try Trivago and Kayak, but it's more of an event venue, so you're better off just getting the discount directly from Hyatt if you're going to one of their conventions, their major events. Anyway, let's see how this is. It's still going, still building. Like, it's confident with the build, but not with the download. 4 more horsemen to go, and I'm on number 1. A browser being made from scratch the first time is gonna take a while. And that's that. There's I just there it is. Right there, the latest build. I want to see if that does any better. Although my camera's a bit laggy here, sorry about that. I would like to finish my thought here. So let me just, I would like to finish my thought here. So let me just take care of that quick. Alright, so the browser has been built, and as soon as that finished, I do not support computing this way. I like my method better, and even that is really unique. But compiling every program from its source code directly from GitHub is even more unique still, and there's no way. Not every time, but for something experimental, I'm willing to do all of this. I'm willing to throw it in the most stable container I could find, from the most stable distro I could think of. And here we are all over again. It looks pretty much the same. It even looks like it has the same glitches, but as you saw on GitHub, it's still being worked on, and it's more recent than the next package. So let's try, once again, to go to mn.gov. In Ladybird. Well, it doesn't think I'm a human being. Of course it doesn't. I'm using a complete new browse engine, but I'm glad I finally got a page this time. I'll just click the I'm human box. Alright, so it looks like the engine needs a little work, doesn't it? I cannot get the CAPTCHA to open. Well, that's great. My test page proved that the browser could connect to the site, but it didn't really work with that. So, do I have to enable JavaScript? Is it one of those things? One of those deals? Let me try about preference. Wow, bridge to nowhere. I got nothing. How about config? I just get a bunch of browsers for some reason. Not that one. I guess the settings page is a bit broken right now. I cannot find it. I'm gonna disable content filtering. There they are. Settings. Main setting. Alright, I still got the settings from the earlier build. It borrowed some from the main system. It built in Debian. It built in Trixie, and that's the edition we have here. Okay, I'm gonna disable global privacy control. And I want to see if I can go to mn.gov again. Oh, you're doing a thing where somehow of pulling the bar down here. But I can't answer CAPTCHA. So let's go to mprnews.org. That, from my understanding, does not have CAPTCHA. You could just go to it. I want to see how that renders. Just a normal site, if at all possible. Nick.com. I would also like to mute the browser itself, because I know Nick.com can have. There is no mute option yet, but there's options to move the tab. Alright, so Nick.com rendered pretty much how I would expect it to render these days. It has the CSS, it has all of the workarounds because it can't flash anymore. I'm not hearing any sound, and I suppose that's what Nick.com is just like now. It doesn't have sound by default. I guess there's only one way to double check this. Nothing tested, nothing believed. Nick.com looks ugly as shit in this browser. It grays this out. Ladybird's actually an improvement in rendering Nick.com. I'm honestly a bit surprised at that. Alright, and here we have, the ads didn't load first, but here's NPR. We have liftoff. We have a working browser engine. I suppose that's all we have right now is just a basic browser. More contrast would be nice. Some changes to how the page looks. Show menu bar. Maybe not. DevTools, task manager, a bunch of ways to debug and dump some local and temporary internet files. Maybe it's in language. Nope, I'm just stuck with the default font for now. I cannot switch it to Brandon Grotesque. Here I forced that. I don't believe that's the reason it rendered like shit with this gray, but it did not render as well as the Ladybird edition. So you know what, I am going to go debug, dump the local storage, try min.gov again, and receive a CAPTCHA I cannot enter. I'm just straight up unable to do that. But does NPR look better here than it does on the Firefox fork that is Zen? Nothing tested, nothing believed. mprnews.org? It's about the same. It has Brandon Grotesque because I forced that, but it looks about the same. There is some forced underline of the links. I don't mean the basketball team, I mean the URL links. Most of them anyway. Okay, let's try some StarTribune.com. Unless you're going to block me with a CAPTCHA. Yeah, you're verifying a very new browser with an engine that just started. I'm sure this is the first request for Star Tribune ever, and it's so new that it failed to verify the browser. That's great. Let's try the AP News. Okay, so cybersecurity in Minnesota is definitely on the up and up. Min.gov isn't doing suspicious requests, and that's what it interprets. That is how it interprets this brand new browser and its engine. And so does Star Tribune. NPR is considered basically public information. It's public radio funded directly by the directly by the public and with taxpayer funds as well. I mean, if the people voted for that, so be it. I still see some glitching with the engine, though. Like, this should not cover the entire page. Also, good for them that they said contradict and not appears to contradict, not forcing speculation where there is fact. Great job, AP. That's why you are the wires. You don't faff around. Right, I'm clicking a link here, and it's trying to load this article. There's no reading mode. I would expect, like, if you're building a full engine, to start with as little frills as possible, especially in the pre-alpha building phase. Like, there it is. You're seeing something that the public just isn't able to see, is not supposed to see. It's just supposed to be for the viewing eyes of the, well, HuffPost works, it's sensationalists, and they want eyeballs, so of course, even on experimental browsing. But clinking a link to a specific article. The browser struggle. I'm going to try that in a different tab, and if that doesn't work, I'm going to try clicking Huffington Post. Will it get to anything if I click it? Oh yeah, how about that weather, don't you know? Okay, it works in Huffington Post. It works in AP News, but damn, is it taking way too long for that to load. Even on an LTE connection, that should take seconds, and I think the browser is going to crash. But this is what we have right now. We have a perfectly functional, oh, it's video. Of course it's video, and I turned autoplay off. That can load web pages, and I suppose refuses to load ads of any kind. I didn't think that was a feature of it, though. It's not stated as a feature of any kind. What happens if I just Ladybird oh yeah, I remember now. Ecosia. Edit, setting. Let's do DuckDuckGo. Try that again. Let's try mnvotes.gov. I would hope so. Let's see. Registering to vote. CAPTCHA. Again, I would hope so. So this is the big struggle right now. It cannot go past a CAPTCHA of any kind ever. But I'm surprised that once you get past that, it works pretty well. It does, no, not app crazy, this one. It does load the page like you would expect it to load in any other browser. I don't understand how this happens and how this is apparently hard-coded in the browsing engine. Although I'm sure that's making it struggling. I'm sure that's part of the reason it's struggling to load the richer content, the pictures, the videos, the media. But if that's how it's built, and more people just adopt Ladybird because of that, then there has to be workarounds, getting ads to display and showing internet content. Or maybe it's just it doesn't do JavaScript too good, therefore ads not showing up yet. I think above all else that is the reason. But I do believe it needs JavaScript just to play a YouTube. Let's see how that loads. We got that. There is some JavaScript that has to be done for this part of it. Some work still needs to be done on the engine, but it does work. It does give you information if you're willing to dig. You're going to have to do more. If you get a page with a CAPTCHA, that's it. You just can't access it right now. If you need to register to vote at mnvotes.gov, you're better off doing it in the browser before, for now. I'm sure once it gets into the alpha phase, they'll have the CAPTCHAs figured out. Either alpha, certainly the beta, where it is the public test. And in some cases, it will render better. It does clear the bar. It will render better than the Gecko engine, than Firefox and all the Firefox forks on some pages, just as long as do not have a CAPTCHA in the middle. Google.com. I don't think they're really happy about this. You know, not my problem. Frogfind.com or org? Nope. Frogfind.com. Surely that will load. Please. Frogfind. Search it on DuckDuckGo. There we go. That works. Deutsche. No way. I am absolutely not using Google Chromium. Search functions are disabled on modern devices. Save API quota. Please visit the site on a retro. That's cute. That's clever. I think Frogfind would allow me to in a fork, and I believe I saw a GitHub. And GitHub works, I think. I should find a way to allow modern computers to use it, because it would be one more search engine that is more useful than Google right now. There is the source. I could lie about the user agent, fib my way into Action Retro's website and his resources, whatever they are, whether it's his power bill or some cloud source. But I'm not an asshole. I will respect the wishes of Action Retro. I mean, as far as articles, it does a decent job. If you want to watch YouTube videos, apparently not. Nothing Google. Nothing. It just doesn't want to work with it. And maybe they're doing that on purpose. At some point, they will reach a point where they can't do that on purpose, but for now, it's struggling with JavaScript and anything richer than an article. And even then, if you get a CAPTCHA, you're just straight up blocked. You can't even use FrogFind on this thing, but that's because FrogFind thinks you're running modern Chromium when you're not. You're running the Ladybird browser, you're running the browsing engine. And if I go to About Ladybird, it says I'm using that, and I think the reason it's doing that is it's trying to get its foot in the door. It's trying to get to the site. It already is lying about the user agent just to try and get Ladybird's engine to load pages, but sometimes that just doesn't work. Sometimes FrogFind still knows you're running on a modern machine, still knows you're running on something like, by the way, this is like the command line spit out of the graphical program that you're looking at right now, but like, it's double quote for him. Wow, this is so much more convenient than just using KDE console. Anyway, a system like, by the way, that's how the browser's been affecting my performance. It's been taking snapshots every 5.8 seconds, with each one being a column here. So that'll give you a glimpse of history of how late's been affecting my... So it doesn't doing that at all. Anyway, Control B down, Control B weight down. Like if I do a high fetch, that's my system info. Fast fetch, same deal with that, but it loads a bit faster. At least high fetch will give you okay, there's that part, and then there's the rest of it. Almost. Anyway, let's exit that shell. Emux sheet. Even DuckDuckGo will try and get an AI summary for you now. It's not double quote. Percent Control B. It is Shift 5. Control B, Shift 5. And in Emux, in Ghosty, Control backspace does not work. Great. Look, I don't just give you the program. I give you my thoughts on other programs while I'm trying to review the program. But that's the fast fetch for my system. This is too new for FrogFind. I don't know how much of this it actually got. I just got the browser and the user agent. It's basic info that's like, okay, you have good bandwidth. You're running some pretty new Linux. You're running something that was built November 25. NixOS, come on. 96 gigs of RAM, really? But I'll try making a local instance. Grab the code and maybe some other day I'll deal with that. Oh, okay. Thanks, Ladybird. I click code and I get nothing. It flew off course. It crashed the page trying to git clone Earl. Why? Maybe it's God, or maybe it's Action Retro himself saying, don't do this. So anyway, I'm gonna do it, right? Rather than Debian-Box, I'm gonna use the built-in shell because actually, no, I'm gonna use Debian-Box. Nix shell can kind of talk to them in ways that Debian-Box has a bit more of a difficult time, so it's a little more thick in the code content. So I'm in the box, clone, or, okay, I can test it in a local instance. I could change it, see if I can do that some other day. Anyway, back to Ladybird. I'm not sure how much of it is engine or how much of it, well, in Google's case, they're almost certainly being hostile to it right now, or how much of it is just the engine, the Ladybird engine, but it's fine for articles, probably a more private way to do that than anything else right now. You need something to read, you need some quick info to grab, like the Tmux, you can do that. But if you need Google Maps or YouTube, you're going to have a hard time. If you're watching, it won't do anything at all, and if you're watching a video, you're going to have a bit of a more difficult time than normal. I would not expect Disney Plus to be working on it, or Pluto TV, and I don't really care to try. I'm not sure of anything else that has video that's otherwise publicly available on anything else without even need to log in or have an account. Although I would like to conclude this by testing my favorite search engine, priv.au, and seeing if that loads. It takes a bit longer, but it does. It's coming along. I can see that it's coming along. It is in a better state than the last Nix package on the 11th. It's loading pages, but CAPTCHA, it cannot do that. If the server you're going to even a little bit sus, and it might be because of whatever information it grabbed from you, you're just not able to do that. You're locked out. There's no way to automatically add a search engine, but that's fine. You need to know the syntax of the URL. It will give you the full URL, which is nice. It won't hide it. Alright, and now what I'm going to do is test that one more time. Test it 2 more times. I can go on some of the fringe Minnesota government websites, but I cannot go to the main one. I cannot really do anything with them. I'm even getting some tofu here. I can't register to vote on it. It'll block me with the CAPTCHA, which I cannot go past in Ladybird right now. I have to use what is still my favorite browser right now, but it's still good for article viewing, and that's basically it. I mean, if I wanted Newsboat to shove into a GUI, it would probably be Ladybird. Actually, you know who's doing like the best journalism right now? Wired.com. You didn't capture me out! That's great! Oh yeah, this is purely a people's revolt, and we are going to... Anyway, it loaded! Granted, if I did that, it would look way different if I did that on Zen, right? If I did Wired.com. Okay. F11 for emphasis. Why is part being forced up. I think I ran into a glitch with bar not collapse. It normally does. This part is also supposed to. Anyway, you get the point. It works enough, but it needs more work to work enough for most. It's got the building blocks. They're almost done with the foundation. That's where Ladybird is at. I can't wait for it to become a proper alpha. I'm sure at that point. Please fix the CAPTCHA part as soon as possible. It would also be nice to have a reading mode. Like, I could do that. I could do that in Zen. I could do that in... I don't know if Firefox proper still has it. I know Firefox Fork will keep some of the deprecated. They're good. But Zen has a reading mode. Here it is. And it even is the font I like. Although, I believe I get blocked out by the paywall? Or did I just not have... Or is Wired being a jerk here? No, I just didn't have enough of the page loaded. I'm going to do that one more time. I will say that Ladybird is expecting to be forked at some point, and I do believe that you will get more advances from there. Whether I think Ladybird, it says on their site, they're not really interested in doing more beyond the browser part. If you want, plug it. If you want to have anything other than just the browser loading the page, it might take a couple years, or maybe someone on GitHub will get clever and creative and jump the gun right now. Maybe they'll take some of the guts of what I just showed you and try and build a proper wrapper features. But for now, just stick to a Firefox fork for privacy, for security, for something that's open source through and through, an open source browser with an open source engine on top of that. Whereas Chrome is a proprietary browser. It has a similar looking open source engine that can be used for programs such as Helium, which I have also reviewed, or Brave, which I would not recommend given the direction that is going and the craziness of the people code that. But once it does start showing up in apt, in Dandified Yum, DNF, once it starts showing up in all the package managers, I think at that point I would say, as far as Ladybird is concerned, its best purpose looking at reading material right now. It would be a great thing to change the configs and make the browser for Newsboat or anything else in the terminal. But right now it's not even at that point. You'll just get caught up on the CAPTCHA, or you'll have sites believing that you're not who you say you are, or you'll go to FrogFind and it won't let you in anyway because it thinks you're too modern and is actually correct. I don't know if it got the correct info, but it made the correct in my case. And if you go to the source, you get the whole page. You get that. But really, the only customization you can do right now is the search engine and that kind of stuff. I mean, this is great, and it even works on Ladybird, but the part that sucks is that that's it, and that's just the limit. Let me see if Ladybird turns up better results here. No, it's still further down. People know more about the film, which I didn't hear of until today, than the browser. And they are focused on just the browser bits. Anything more advanced than that's going to be a fork of it with a wrapper on top of it, and I'm glad that there is someone working on something. I think it's sort of like Gabe Newell with Linux and the Steam Deck. Like, he saw that it would be a bad thing if Microsoft had complete control over PC gaming ecosystem, so he built an alternative he could with as many open source toys as he could find. And that's why he's genuinely a good person, and I thank for that. And I'm very thankful that Ladybird is doing that, but for web browsers, just to have everything be downstream. Firefox, even though it is better from a customizability and privacy and trust standpoint, it's still downstream funding. And whatever makes Firefox any better than Chrome now, and in my opinion, it is just on its own, never mind the forks like Zen, which let you vertical tabs in a collapsible sidebar. There's no guarantee that it's going to be that open forever. But with Ladybird, it started that way, it is that way. It's funded entirely by donations, and their mission is to have an independent browsing engine that is not downstream Google at all, and is also not Triton, the Internet Explorer sack of shit that deserved to die. Add and DuckDuckGo. So if you had fun exploring Ladybird and doing some comparison between that and Zen, which is my personal favorite, which is what I think everyone should try. I think it's better than Chrome. It doesn't render some pages good sometimes, but I don't go to Nick.com. This is really the only one that I had this gray instead of orange problem with. But yeah, there's worse things. But you know what? A full review of Zen, I'll do that at some point. But if you enjoyed having a look at Ladybird and you want to see more content just like this, then, as always, subscribe if you like, and share if you care. Seriously, though, in the time, I'll put the filming light back on. In the time it took to compile from source. A browser, a web browser that is in pre-alpha. I clean the bed. I put the recycle away. No, that is not a proper way to compute. Package managers do it like sane people. If you're uber paranoid about a specific program, maybe. In some extreme, my life is in danger, I'm a journalist type of thing. But for everyone else, just use your package manager and trust the operating system, or go live on a farm. I can also confirm that the sound does not work yet. Can't even listen to MPR, that's L.